The cartels are gone. The criminal migrants are gone. The gangs are gone. America is for Americans and Americans only. One man, and that man, ladies and gentlemen, that man took a bullet for you. He took a bullet for democracy.
Before Donald Trump could even begin speaking at his Madison Square Garden rally, it was already a complete disaster. Not only were the Maga Congress people, the Trump stooges who spoke before Donald Trump, an absolute disgrace, but there was one Maga comedian who told I can't even call it a joke. He just made a racist attack that was so bad, in fact, that there were boos raining down from the crowd. But even worse than that, there was cheering. It was incredibly gross, might define this entire day, and we are going to get into that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now, before we get into that comedian, I want to hear from some of the Trump stows that spoke today, like in this clip right here.
But the last thing we're going to fix, and it's a big one. You see, I got 3 kids. They're all boys. And I'll be damned if you're going to have some school tell my boys that they can now be girls. Not on my watch. Not on the watch of Donald Trump, I can promise you that.
This might be the only positive from this entire event. If Donald Trump thinks New York is a swing state, great, invest all of your campaign money. Spend the rest of your time, the next couple of days before the election in New York. Please try to win the state. Go out to California too, Illinois as well. While you're at it, go crazy. I hope you enjoy yourself. It's a great idea. Just shows how smart that this campaign is, and of course, how disturbed that this campaign is, as we see from Stephen Miller right here.
I had a friend of mine, smart guy, he's a billionaire, texted me this morning. And he said, why the hell are you guys wasting your time in New York City instead of going to a swing state? You want to know what I told him? I said, welcome to 2024. New York is a swing state.
They really love this line, don't they? They tried to kill Donald Trump, and by they're referring to 2 Republicans, yes, registered Republicans, who were just simply disturbed individuals who shouldn't have had weapons, that the access to them, certainly. But because of Republicans and their inability to care about gun violence in this country, they did so. Is that you're referring to? Yeah, it was a lot of that nonsense from all the Trump stooges. But like I said, especially a comedian, if I can even call him that, who decided to go on a racist tirade about Latinos in America, and it started with this and only got worse.
After libel, lawsuit after lawsuit, they tried to jail him, they tried to bankrupt him, they tried to imprison him, and they even tried to take his life with not 1, but 2 assassination attempts.
What is he even saying? It's just gross. Is this supposed to be funny? But like I said, there were some laughs at that joke. But in this upcoming one, the moment that I think is going to define today for Donald Trump, there were not only boos, which is surprising to hear from Maga, considering their feelings, but there were also cheers, which just made it worse. Let's take a look.
Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country.
Just a disgusting comment, and I want to respond to it, but I think the people who did the best job were AOC and Tim Walz, who were watching live and had this to say about that disgusting joke.
It is absolutely wild times. It really, really is. And, you know, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay, all right, okay, we're getting there.
I think AOC and Tim Walz put it so perfectly. I completely agree with AOC that should be an ad running in Pennsylvania. That should be an ad running in every swing state that they look down upon. Us MAGA has been referring, as Donald Trump now does, for days to America as a garbage can. They've for months been calling it a third world country, and since President Biden and Vice President Harris have been in office, they have been saying that America is terrible, that it's an awful country. This is a party that pretends to be patriotic, but we know the truth about them. They only want to support America. They only enjoy our country when they're winning, when they're in power, and when they're writing big tax cut for their friends, when they're serving the wealthy, when they're serving themselves, and of course, when they're serving Putin and they're attacking their enemies from within, something that VP Harris was calling out Donald Trump for in this clip right here.
These are terrifying.
Absolutely wild times. It really, really is. And, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. No.
Who is that jackwad? Who is that guy?
I actually think that's Tony Hinchcliffe, which is super disappointing. I mean, he's a comedian. I don't follow
look, Trump,
this
issue
very
with Puerto
closely,
Rico
but
again. I saw it. This was when he went down after Helene, the horrific hurricane, people there, everybody coming together. We sent helicopters down from Minnesota and personnel. You know how you do this during this? And in the first hours, Trump complaining about the response. Does anybody remember how he responded to Maria in Puerto Rico? It was absolutely horrific. Down there insulting people, throwing it. Look, I know that the folks who are on here today understand this. People in Puerto Rico are citizens. They pay taxes and they serve in the military at almost a higher rate than anybody else.
yeah, I mean, it's like super upsetting. Obviously, it's super upsetting to me. My family is from Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican, and like the thing that is so messed up that I wish more people understood is that the things that they do in Puerto Rico are a testing ground for the policies and the horrors that they wish to, and that they do unveil in working class communities across the United States. And I need people to understand that when you have some a-hole calling Puerto Rico floating garbage, know that that's what they think about you. That is exactly, that's just what they think about you. It's what they think about anyone who makes less money than them. It's what they think about the people who serve them food in a restaurant. It's what they think about the people who fold their clothes in a store. Like,
you're
dude,
right.
Are you serious? Like, are you serious?
Yeah, the privilege of being on this campaign is traveling across the entire country. There are hundreds of thousands of Puerto Ricans across in battleground states that need to send them a message on this. I
want them to
you gotta vote.
Roll that. I want everyone in Philadelphia to see that clip. If you live in Philly, why don't you go and see that
Reading?
clip?
Yes.
If you live in Reading, Pennsylvania, which I was there, I was in Reading last week. If you're in Reading, if you're in Philly, look at that trash. Like, what is trash is people actually just thinking of other human beings that way. Are you actually for real? And the thing that gets me is that these people their entire lives rely on working class people. If you have someone that's not there to harvest the crops that show up in your grocery store, in your Erewhon or your Whole Foods or wherever it is that you go to eat, if you think lesser of working class Americans, of
caring
people
for
who
our children.
I think AOC and Tim Walz put it so perfectly. I completely agree with AOC that should be an ad running in Pennsylvania. That should be an ad running in every swing state that they look down upon. Us MAGA has been referring, as Donald Trump now does, for days to America as a garbage can. They've for months been calling it a third world country, and since President Biden and Vice President Harris have been in office, they have been saying that America America is terrible, that it's an awful country. This is a party that pretends to be patriotic, but we know the truth about them. They only want to support America. They only enjoy our country when they're winning, when they're in power, and when they're writing big tax cut for their friends, when they're serving the wealthy, when they're serving themselves, and of course, when they're serving Putin and they're attacking their enemies from within, something that VP Harris was calling out Donald Trump for in this clip right here.
He has been consistent. And again, Google Project 2025 about what he thinks about Social Security and why he thinks it is nothing that should be supported, what his intentions to cut Medicare and Medicare benefits, his intention, look again at Project 2025, to repeal the $35 a month cap on insulin that we have put in place.
You know that Donald Trump has disavowed Project 2025. He says that is not his campaign plan.
As you know, I am a former prosecutor. His DNA is all over it. All over it. His running mate wrote forward to the book of the author of Project 2025. I believe Donald Trump's name appears at least 300 times in Project 2025, and it is a blueprint, a detailed blueprint that is about the danger and the detail of what Donald Trump and his allies plan if he is in the White House again.
Project 2025 isn't just dangerous because of its disaster of an agenda, because of the attacks on our reproductive freedoms, on civil liberties. No, Project 2025 is dangerous because of the people who it will allow to run free in our government, attack our government, and attack you. It's not just that Donald Trump will be empowered, it's that those people will as well. And so when we're talking about a Mark Milley or a John Kelly calling out Donald Trump, it is also important to realize that, while I'm sure I have several differences of opinions with John Kelly, he was a person alongside Mark Milley who told Donald Trump he couldn't shoot protesters for peacefully protesting. That won't happen next time. You want to hear your voice heard? Have your voice. Demonstrate no, not going to happen. Donald Trump will send in the military or the National Guard. Donald Trump will suppress it. You want to vote against him? Nope. Not happening. That's what Donald Trump and Project 2025 want to do. It's about suppressing opposition systematically throughout our government in all agencies that'll exist after they talk about destroying the Department of Education. You think that's the end of it? I certainly don't. I know you don't. They're coming after everything with everyone they can. And that should terrify us. That is what we're up against, and we're going to continue to talk about it on the show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video if you're stuck around at the end, and drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.